The Michelin Pilot Challenge
on IMSA Radio, part of the Radio Show Limited Network.
Hello everybody and welcome to Virginia International Raceway, Danville, Virginia, for our Saturday main race. 3¼ miles, 17 corners around this stunning circuit. It is the Michelin Pilot Challenge, a 2-hour contest. The Virginia is for Racing Lovers Grand Prix. A superb 37 car entry, 13 in TCR, 24 in GS. Action areas at the Horseshoe at Turn 1. Certainly be plenty going on at the south end of the racetrack, where the oak tree used to be, with drivers finding it difficult to get through there. And we'll see some overtaking, I'm sure, at the top of the hill, at the roller coaster at the end of the back straight, often called Madison Avenue, as well. Good to have your company. As Jeremy has just mentioned to me as we were coming on air, action areas potentially everywhere around this circuit, and that is a fair point. Shea Adam is in the pit lane, just checking in with Shea that everyone has cleared the pit lane. And the storyline, Shea, in TCR, 13 cars. What's going on in TCR today?
TCR, the biggest storyline is the championship being wide open. The number 33, Brian Herta Autosport, that car leads the way. Harry Gottsacker and Robert Wickens, but they start from the back of the field today after a technical infraction during, immediately following qualifying. So they hold a slim advantage over the 17 Audi Unitronic JDC. They start on pole position. Third in points, well, that would be the sister car to Brian Herta, number 98, which has led the championship up to the last round. Mark Wilkins and Mason Filippi, they're trying to get back to the front. In GS, championship once again, the 72 is the championship leader. That would be Kenny Murillo and Christian Simchek in their Mercedes for Murillo Racing. But chasing them, it's a big, tight group. We've got the 96 Turner Motorsport BMW. That was Vin Barletta and Robbie Foley. Frank Depew and Robin Liddell, race winners the last time out for the Chevy Camaro of Rebel Rock Racing. Then the Porsche from RS1, that's Stephen McAleer and Eric Filgaris. Eric starts third in today's race. Turner with their sister car on pole position. What can they do to try and help Vin and Robbie in the championship? We've got a lot of cars to watch today. And the other thing, repeat winners. We haven't had very many of them in GS.
And hello to you at the circuit if you are just joining us. Not sure we're quite with everyone at the track. Could hear, I think, our colleagues on the PA still talking there. Jeremy Shaw joins us. Great looking field. Penalty for Harry Gottsacker being put all the way to the back in the Hyundai Elantra. This is a car that's going to be quick. That'll be entertaining for us and a little bit more work for he and the team.
Yes, indeed, John, and it was actually the minimum ride height that they failed after technical inspection. It wasn't on the weight; it was a minimum ride height. So my apologies for that one. I just I've finally read the bulletin that was sent out after qualifying. But having qualified third, they've got to go all the way to the back. So that's going to be a little bit of extra work for Harry Gottsacker, as you say.
So the cars on their second formation lap behind our safety car. 2 hours on the clock. What a great day of racing we've had. Got a tiny little bit of cotton wool cloud in the sky. Coming up to 10 minutes past the hour. Officially, air temperature 36 Celsius. That's 99 Fahrenheit, 97 Fahrenheit, excuse me, and just on 100 degrees Fahrenheit on the track. That's just over 37 Celsius. So toasty, and we've already had some racing. We've already had some drivers that have done some racing. Few people doing double duty. Shea talking to some people in the paddock there, seeing that VP Racing Fuels event, which ran pretty cleanly, as it did the Lamborghinis actually. Pretty grueling events for everyone concerned. And now we've got something that is 2 hours now, albeit two drivers. Potentially a one-stop race for TCR in terms of their fuel, but can they make, particularly the front tyres, last that in this heat? That will be the question. In GS, it's they qualified on those tyres as well. In GS, you'd almost always say this was going to be a 2-stop race minimum, might even be borderline 3, again, depending how long you can make the tyres last. You're going to pay a penalty if you overuse your Michelin tyres early on. Minimum drive time is 40 minutes, so keep an eye out for that. Around about the top of the next hour for cars coming in to get their drivers out at the closest point to the minimum drive time. Brilliant sight in the late afternoon sunshine as the 24 GS cars come down to make their start. Then there's a little gap and the 13 TCRs start their run out of the final corner. Green flag is in the air and Cameron Lawrence for Turner Motorsport, the BMW, jumps away from Kenny Murillo in the orange and blue Mercedes AMG, but down the inside Eric Figueras in the green Porsche Cayman nips through into second place. Opportunist manoeuvre there, done nicely, and beautifully completed by Figueras. Phil Singer right in there as well. Jensen Holtzman equaling his best qualifying position for Macumbi Makalia Racing. The TCRs are off and running as well. Chris Miller brought them to the green flag and still leads in that distinctive yellow, black and white Audi. Right in behind him, 2 Hyundais, Michael Lewis and Mark Wilkins. Then it's Brian Ortiz for the Van der Steur Racing. That's another Hyundai, but that's the blue and white car rather than the eggshell blue and red works coloured cars. Then a little gap back to the red and white Mike Lamara LA Honda World Civic. So pretty much as we started, other than Figueras making that move into second position. Opportunist manoeuvre, perfectly taken, nice and clean, and nobody doing anything silly so far, Jeremy. 3/4 around the first lap.
Yeah, sort of true. There's something flying out of the back of the Van der Steur Racing Aston Martin as they headed out of Oak Tree, but I think that was a result of picking up a huge amount of dust on the exit turn 10. So hopefully that's all it was, and it'll be okay from there. As we see already, the TCR cars catching up to the back of the field of the GS field. As we see them coming up through the great replay there. It's a fabulous part of this racetrack, isn't it? Absolutely tremendous. The cars just snaking their way up that hill, and very, very closely matched as well. But a good start, certainly, by a pole sitter, Cameron Lawrence. Tony
Arve, the Arve Motorsport car, with a windscreen full of dust as they were heading up to Oak Tree for the first time. Also, the number 59 Mustang. With various people dropping their right side Michelins into the dirt in the GS field as they were in the early parts of running. And Michael Lewis has just passed a couple of the GS cars as he is already in the back of them. He was actually our 11th quickest qualifier in that TCR number 1, as he's got already, or 12th actually. Chris Miller has dropped behind, so that's a new leader in TCR. Michael Lewis already at the front of the TCR class and carving his way through the back of the GS field. Yeah, that's right, and several of the GS drivers have been a little bit concerned about the pace of the TCRs. Not because they're worried about being beaten by them necessarily, but they're very quick on the straights and difficult for the GS cars to overtake. The TCRs have been speeded up this year. They're running about 40 kilos less than 1 year ago. So they are going quite a bit quicker. We've got lap records, I think, every race we've been to this season in qualifying. And that is, they are, as you say, quicker than quite a few, or the majority really, of the GS cars, in particular the gentleman drivers in GS, who aren't even close to the pace of the quicker TCRs. debris that you spotted earlier, Jeremy, just in the middle of the two parts of the oak tree corners, 11 and 12 side-by-side action. Rockwell Auto Developments and the Victor Gonzalez Racing Team, that's 10 and 11 side-by-side, up towards the top of the hill. In fact, we've got 2 wide and 2 deep there as they go through. That's confusing the tracker. Now, did they all get through there and get down the hill? Remarkably, yes, they did, as they were battling for 8th, 9th, 10th, and all the way down to the back of the field there. That's behind Harry Gottsacker, Preston Brown, Victor Gonzalez, Nick Leumann, Roy Block's in there as well in the Alpha, as the front of the field has already gone through and completed another lap.
I'd have probably laid odds against that, John, but indeed they did make it through, and hats off to them for doing so. In the meantime, a good start there by Cameron Lawrence. Eric Filgueiras, a nice forceful start there by him, realising that Kenny Murillo, as the championship leader, isn't going to force the issue too much at turn 1, and Filgueiras kind of squeezed him wide a little bit of the exit corner, perfectly legitimate, and was able to get that second position away from the Mercedes. So the Porsche now runs in second. So we now got
disaster, Jeremy,
6 different cars.
Disaster, Jeremy, for Roy Block, and a front-running car in the TCR. Right front tyre is off the ring for the Alpha, and Roy's going to try and get this car back. They've had a good run of form, the TMR KMW Motorsport machine. Now Roy's got a gear, and he's moving. This was at the exit of turn 3, between turn 3 and turn 4, so he's got an awfully long way to go around the track. He's still on the dirt, comes back onto the pavement now. That normally pristine black with red, a sort of a red undercoat on it. Volcano black, I think it's called in Alpha terminology. Well, somehow Roy's got that out, but he's understeered off it. I'm not sure he realises he's got a right front puncture and no air in the front right Michelin tyre. And we are still green at the moment, so he's going to lose a lap here, getting that car back. Question was, did he jump or was he pushed? He was involved in that battle with the 2 Rockwell Auto Development cars. He had a little nibble at the back of the number 15 car of Nick Leumann's as he came through turn 1. At turn 2, he's ahead. Oh, and then he gets a big hit from behind, and he must have hit the barriers with the right-hand side front, or he's just, actually might have just broken the bead. Full course yellow is out. I think he's just broken the bead on that right front tyre, because he didn't actually hit anything. The hit from Leumann's on the car was on the rear, and there's some smoke coming out from the left-hand side as well as the right. So full course caution. This will at least let Roy get back to the pits, but he's still, I think, going to lose a lap. Short yellow, Jeremy, means what?
Means that the pits will not be opened, so you cannot come into the pits without incurring a penalty. That's because we're within 15 minutes of the start of the race, so there will be no wave rounds or pit openings or anything like that. We're just to get that debris cleared up and be able to get back to racing again. And if Roy Block can get back to the pit lane, he might stay on the lead lap potentially.
Yeah,
I think the bigger problem than the number 5 car off the road is the fact that debris on the way into turn 11.
Agreed.
Which is that was that his tyre or not?
I don't think so. I think your eagle eye spotted that Van der Steur Racing Aston. I think it's either under tray or the part of the under fender part of that car. Now, this is going to change what the Alpha team can do. He needs a tyre. I think they probably would have gone 2 front tyres had it stayed green or had it not been a short yellow. Of course, now, Jeremy, they can only change the damaged rim under emergency service rules, and then they'll have to come back in when we go back to green.
That's right. But if they can get that one tyre change and get it back out, that, as you say, will come under the emergency service terminology, and he'll be able to get back on the racetrack. And if he can then hustle around, potentially they can change whatever else they needed to change on that car. So the car is up on the jacks now. That right front tyre is being changed, and he's waved to go on his way again. If he can get the car in the gear there, he does. Where are the leaders? The leaders are just coming
on the
around the
front
whole
strip
pen.
now. Yeah.
So he might just make this work. He might be able to stay on the lead lap, and that is exactly what that number 5 team needs. That's the car. It's already won this season on 3 occasions. They're 4th place in the championship, but only 170 points back, which is not that much with 3 races to go this season. And there he is ahead of the safety car.
Yeah, very close, but did get out in front of that bright yellow Lexus and was waved by. Now, that isn't a quote waved by that we were talking about. He is allowed to do that because the field was not past the safety car line as Roy Block exited the pit lane. So he has not dropped the lap. He will hustle back around safely and get back on the end of the TCR field.
Yeah. Probably won't catch them.
Well, it's...
He's going to try.
Well, he's up through 6. The safety car is at 4, turn 4. He'll give it a good go.
Yeah.
He can't come in anywhere till it goes green. The car up on its hydraulic jacks, it goes a very long way up the Alpha. Just the one right-hand front tyre being changed. And it's a 5-stud wheel, of course, which is what took a little more time. Roy just waiting for the car to come back down, pulled it into gear and took his time, didn't stall it. Absolutely no panic in that stop from the Alpha team. I think that was really sensibly done there.
Yeah.
Clearly Roy didn't realise he had that right front issue because he hadn't had contact there. When he went off sideways, he didn't actually hit anything. He'd been hit from behind and tipped into the sideways spin. But I think just scrubbing across the pavement, Jeremy, broke the bead on the right front.
Yeah, I think
hang on a minute. No, that's fine. He's allowed. I was about to say he's come into a closed pit. Of course he has. But he's allowed to come in because of the emergency service regulations. Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead.
But as you say, he will have to serve a drive-through once we go back to green. So even if he is able to hustle around and catch up the back of the pack, he's going to fall quite a long way back after that. And Roy, he's quite a character, is Roy. He is Argentinian, by the way, despite the name. His family moved to Florida when he was 10 years old or so, back in the very early 80s. He started his racing out at the Sim Raceway school.
I remember that.
I don't know, 10 years or so ago, probably now.
Yeah, that was out at Sonoma, wasn't it? At the old Sears Point.
Old Sears Point, Sonoma Raceway, yeah, absolutely right. And just before we went back, we went to yellow there. Kenny Murillo in the 3rd place car. He just set the fastest lap of the race. I mean, not much to choose between, only a 1/10 of a second quicker than the other 3 cars with which was embroiled in that battle at the front of the field. The top 4, which was Cameron Lawrence, Eric Filgueras, Kenny Murillo and Jensen Holtzman, had pulled away a little bit from Rory van der Steur in 5th place. But interestingly, the top positions in terms of manufacturers, it was BMW, Porsche, Mercedes, Ford, Aston Martin, and then McLaren. So 6 different manufacturers holding the top 6 positions at the moment.
A hello to Michael Friedman, who lives in Oakland, California. 3 blocks from where Christian Simchak used to live when he was out there. Tuned in. Nice to know that you are. Plenty of people tuned in. A full day of action here, and Tom Marshalak mowed, weeded and cleaned the Mustang whilst he was listening to MX-5 Cup and Lamborghini, sitting down listening and watching to this. And Shea Adam down in the pit lane. We're staying yellow, so I think Roy Block will get back on the end of the Crocodile.
He definitely will, as we are yellow for at least this lap. We've got Preston still up on the starter stand holding out the double yellows and the safety car as the field goes under it once again. So this is good news for Roy Block. While we're saying hello, if I could just say a very special hello to Lindsay and Emerson, who just now said I do. And I wish I could be with you guys.
Very good. Very good. And just from race control, by the way, that incident that caused Roy Block to spin off in the Alfa Romeo. That was the number 15 Rockwell Autosport Development Audi that had contact. Nick Lymans with the contact from behind. That is being investigated. There was a bump before that, from the other direction, going down into turn 1, which was the Alpha into the Audi. So that incident being looked at the moment in race control, and if we hear anything about any decision or penalty, of course we will let you know. We've burned 14 minutes of the original 2 hours, spot on, and we, I think, should be going back to racing in a moment. The only thing they do in the even in a short yellow is they do cycle the GS cars back to the front to give them a cleaner start. But what we won't have this time is a split start. So Michael Lewis is going to have to pass those GS cars that he'd already got by. He's going to have to do that again. He's got Mark Wilkins behind him, then Brian Ortiz for Van der Stur's Hyundai Elantra, the blue and white car. So that's 3 Hyundais and an Audi at the front of the field, with our pole sitter Chris Miller sitting down in 4th. At the front of the field, it will be Cameron Lawrence, who was our pole sitter for Turner Motorsport, ahead of Eric Filgueras. He was the main mover at the front of the field, sneaked through on the inside at turn 1, lap 1, and puts the RS1 Porsche into second ahead of Kenny Murillo, started in second and has dropped to 3rd. Jensen Altman started 5th and has found his way to 4th. Looks like everybody on the odd-numbered side of the grid did rather well. Rory van der Stur in that Aston Martin, and we are pretty certain that was where the debris came from, so he may have a performance disadvantage. And the top 6 made up by the Motorsport in action, the Mia McLaren Artura GT4. Lights are out, safety car has pulled away. Take a deep breath and get ready for more action, as the Virginia is for Racing Lovers Grand Prix for the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge is about to go back to green. Cameron Lawrence is not going to die waiting. I tell you what, he's got off swinging out the final corner. It's a long run to the start line, but he's timed that absolutely perfectly and has split up the front 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 cars down into the horseshoe at turn 1. And that was a copybook restart, really strung everybody out. Remember, it was a single file restart rather than the double wide. As we came back to green. Great fans at 2 and 3, between 2 and 3, enjoying the restart there. Good evening, late afternoon to you. Great support always here at VIR. And we are back racing again at Turner BMW. Number 95, Cameron Lawrence, with about half a second as he went across the line, Jeremy. That was a well-judged restart from Cam.
It was, wasn't it? Using all of his experience there, driven so many different cars over the years, as Cameron had a lot of success as well. But thoroughly enjoying his role this year with Turner Motorsport. Driven for the team on occasion in the past, but this full-time ride this year, pairing up with Robert McGuinness. They both had a pole position prior to this weekend, and Cameron Lawrence scored his second pole, of course, yesterday, and taking full advantage of that and leading the way here right now. And he's that jump is exactly what he needed. But again, he's going to be careful just not to push too hard in the early stages of this race.
It's a fine line. It really, it's like switching a tyre on for qualifying. Some people can do it very well, some people can do it not at all. I fall into the second category. I just can't seem to get tyres up to temperature quickly when I've got a new set of tyres for practice and qualifying. And other drivers seem to just know the right amount of push at the right time. And so Cameron's got this one right at the restart here. No further action. After review, I feel like I should be an NFL referee. After review, the incident involving cars 15 and 5 has proved inconclusive. However, there will be a stop and 10 seconds. There is a stop and 10 seconds penalty for the Alpha improperly served emergency service obligation. So I presume then, Shea Adam, they did not come straight back down the pit lane, and that's going to cost them a 10-second stationary penalty.
Correct. They should have followed the safety car back down to serve their drive-through penalty for doing emergency service, and they did not. They took the green flag on the racetrack. So that results in them coming down the pit lane now, doing the penalty and going back out. So still not as bad as it could be. Assuming we get another yellow flag, they're still in this race.
Yeah, they have dropped way to the back, but they're still on the lead lap, crucially, in TCR, which is led by two Hyundai Elantras now, as Chris Miller has taken Brian Ortiz on the restart, and the pole sitter back up to third place in TCR. Meantime, in GS, Jensen Altsman, he moved up a position from the original start in the white with grey racing stripes across the bonnet and multicoloured blue, almost Ford Motorsport blue stripes. For those of you who remember the old RS200 rally cars, always puts me in mind of that. Jensen Altsman at the moment in fourth position in his class, going nicely, thanks very much indeed. And Jeremy will tell me that Kenny Murillo, I think, has just put in the fastest lap of the race, actually on the restart lap.
Yeah, you did it actually the lap before we went to the yellow, and now it's just been reset by Eric Filgueras to come across the line to complete lap 8 in terms of 155.921 as Eric Filgueras, still somewhere away from the lap record, which was set by Ross Gunn back in 2019 at a 52.7. which is a bit of an outlier, I think, these days. The fastest lap last year was a 54.1.
Jeremy Shaw with me, John Hindhaugh, in the IMSA Global Broadcast Centre, and Chris Miller, after a slightly tardy original start where he dropped down to fourth position from his earned pole position, has dispensed with the Van der Steur Racing Hyundai and is now, with wastegate chirruping in the background, having a little nibble around the back of the third place Hyundai. That is, sorry, the second place Hyundai. That is the number 1 of Michael Lewis. Meantime, the leader in TCR is sitting in behind Ted Giovannis in the TGM Aston Martin Vantage GT4 as they head up the climbing S's. And our leader, Mark Wilkins, needs not to get too frustrated here, puts the car to the right-hand side going into the first part of Oak Tree. Nicely done. Ted just breathes out, realises the TCRs are coming, and lets the top 3 through. And I think out of the top 3, Jeremy, Chris Miller got the best of that.
I think he probably did. He's certainly challenging the second of the Hyundais coming up the straight towards the roller coaster.
He's through.
He's got a bit of straight line speed there, and he moves up into second position. In the fourth position is Brian Ortiz right there as well.
And did just get the top 4 back together in TCR, then Ted Giovannis in the GS, then the first of the Hondas, Mike Lamara in the FL5 TCR. And that is the new car. The old car was an FK, and L is after K. That's how the system works. Down towards the first corner. Beautiful evening. Sun behind the cars as they come down towards turn number 1, the horseshoe. At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us. Cameron Lawrence still unable to break the toe, though. He got a good start, but Eric Filgueras has gradually pulled him back. A little bit earlier on, there was a little bit of action. That was the pass for the lead down at turn number 4. That was when Mark Wilkins went past the then leader, Michael Lewis. He'd had a cracking run into the back of the GS cars before we got that first intervention from the safety car and the neutralisation of the race. Just keeping an eye on the times as they come through. It is Chris Miller, Jeremy, who is quickest in TCR at the moment in terms of his best lap time.
Yeah, the pole sitter. It still looked pretty orchestrated, didn't it, between those two Brian Herder cars?
Very
there.
much so.
Just left the door wide open, did Michael Lewis, and Mark Wilkins said, "Okay, thank you very much, Ned. I'll go through there and lead for a while." So we'll see whether he can maintain that lead with the Audi closing in pretty quickly as they head up straight toward roller coaster one more time. Got good straight line speed, hasn't it, the Audi?
Interesting to see.
Coming off the corners.
Yeah, very good. Interesting to see, Jeremy, that Chris in that yellow, black and white Audi is not trying to get right behind the Hyundai. He's deliberately sitting a car and a half, almost 2 cars over on that long back straight. And I wonder if that is just making sure he's getting enough air through the front of the car. It is a warm day out there. Meantime, Alfredo Najri having a wee bit of a battle at the moment in the number 14 GR Supra, Toyota GR Supra, Gazoo Racing doing the conversion work for these racing cars. And he's sitting in 13th position in the number 14 with ahead of him. Is that the 47? No, he's a little bit further back. One of the BMWs ahead of him. It is Vin Barletta, yeah. Vin Barletta in the 96 car in its green livery this weekend for Turner Motorsport.
And Paul Sparta right in there as well with the Random Vandals, number 92. Car's running well, that green and white car. He's having a good first stint. He'll be sharing that car this weekend with Kenton Cook. They had a great seasonal debut last time out at Road America, running right up at the sharp end of the field, pretty much all the way through. It was a good, very good performance. Fuel concerns caught them out towards the end, but they were massively fast, but weren't looking after their fuel consumption quite as well as some of the others. So slipped back a little bit, but it's still a really good run for that pair last time out.
So we have had 25 minutes. We will be nominating our Michelin moment of the race for both the GS and the TCR class. That comes from Jeremy Shea and myself. Not always total consensus there, as the LA Honda World number 73, that's Dr. Will Talley, a little slow through Oak Tree, 11 and 12, but has picked up steam again, and that was an incident with the number 99 I'm hearing from Race Control, which is the Victor Gonzalez Hyundai Elantra, and that is being looked at by Race Control and coming together at turn number 11. Not the first here, and certainly won't be the last down through the years.
Yeah, fair comment. Fair comment. And it's interesting at this stage in the race that the TCRs aren't moving their way through the GS field. I think the TCR drivers, they're particularly worried about tyre wear. The front Michelins take a real battering at the best of times, and particularly when it's as hot as it is right now. They're not pushing nearly as hard as they could do, because they want to make sure they've got some tyre wear left for later on in the race. And I think the Hyundai is, generally speaking, a little bit better on tyre wear than the Audi. The pole sitting Audi, Chris Miller, running in second position right now, 1:57.3 he has set as the fastest lap of the race. The lap record around here in a TCR car is a 56.5, and the pole time yesterday for Chris Miller was 1:55.2, so a couple of seconds outside that pole time from yesterday. Whoa!
So both Honda, LA Honda World cars sideways coming up the hill through what, turn 5B,
11-12, isn't it?
Oh, was that 11-12? All right, much further round. Okay. My apologies, Jeremy. Yes, it was. It said on the screen, Jeremy. Well done, but yeah, well remembered. A couple of quick laps last time around. Murillo Racing, Kenny Murillo did a 55.8. She's going to 56.1. And a 55.7 for Jensen Altman. They're having a proper race now, and that's dragging them back towards the 2 leaders. Jensen did just pull out of the slipstream to have a little look at the previous lap at the roller coaster, but couldn't get through. Shea Adam down in the pit lane. We'll keep an eye on the action. Let's hear from some of the voices from the pits.
Welcome back to IMSA Racing, Joey Hand. Joey, you ran here last year in the Michelin Pilot Challenge in a Ford Mustang and drove that baby straight into victory lane. You're with McCumbee-Mackley Racing, who have already had 1 win today. Feels like things are going well right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always great to be back in IMSA. You know, it's been a little sub-in situation for me for the last couple of years, but always great to be driving a Ford Mustang too. A lot of cool things going on with IMSA and just sports car racing. Like I was telling you, it's a great time to be a sports car racer, and it's a great time to be a Ford race car driver. So awesome to be part of Cumbie McLaren and driving with Jensen Altsman. He's out here getting it done, running in the top 4 here. So last year we did it the hard way. We weren't the quickest car last year, but we started saving a little fuel early, and it came in, just played right into our hands in the last lap. So like we got a little better pace this time, so you never know what's going to happen.
There is somebody off on the backstretch in between turns 9 and going into 12. I think it's one of the Rockwell Autosport development cars is off the track going slowly. I'll keep an eye on that. But Joe, you've raced so many different cars at this track. What is it about the Mustang GT4 that gives you such a big smile?
Well, when it's comfy, you know how I feel when it's comfy. I'll tell you about that later. But I think, there's a lot of it's the Mustang, right? But a lot of it's this racetrack. It's just a great racetrack. You don't see these kind of racetracks all over the world, right? And that's why so many people show up to watch, It's one of those great American racetracks, Road America, VIR, Mid-Ohio, places I love. And, when when you've driven here a lot like I have, you have a couple tricks up your sleeve, and those things help you out. So it always feels good. When you've been on the podium somewhere a lot, that always helps too. And we've done that pretty good here.
Good luck keeping that streak going today.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Well, it was one of the Rockwell cars at the beginning of the lap, the number 15, Nick Leumann's car. He was involved in that incident earlier on. That was inconclusive, as was the incident between the other 2 cars, Victor Gonzalez, the number 99, and the number 73, Will Tully. And again, this was TCR action, and just looked like a little mistake again at turn number 11. Oh, so where did he come? He must have pulled off the track. So he was going slowly. Did he pull completely off the circuit? He's gone round again, and we've got the turn of BMW off as well. Now, what's going on here? Track temperature is rising a little bit. Looks like the 96 BMW has gone off the circuit, has now regained the circuit. And the full course yellow has come out. That was turn 12 again. And again, actually went off at turn 10. And somehow, oh no, he did hit the wall. I was about to say it didn't hit the wall. Back of the car into the tyre stacks there, Jeremy. And that was a bit of a wild ride there with the rear wheels off the road. That's second in the championship.
Yeah.
Has bumped the back of that car, and there is damage for Will Turner and the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean, good news for them potentially is that they were under full course caution, so he's not going to lose nearly as much time as he would have done otherwise. So maybe fortunate there, but that was a big off that Vin Bollider had. He's had a good day. Won the bronze category, finished 3rd overall, I think, in the VP Racing Challenge event earlier on today in a GSX class. So he's getting plenty of track time. He qualified in the just outside the top 10, 11th position, which equals his best qualifying result this season. And the last time he qualified 11th, they went on to win the race with Robbie Foley. But they're going to have to work to do now if they're going to come back from that. But that's a shame Nick Leumann's couldn't get that number 15 Audi into a safer location. They got refired again.
Yeah, Vin's still going, but reports from Shea in the pits that it doesn't sound good. I think he might have just flattened the exhaust there, which we're losing some power. We've also got a deal with that Rockwell Auto Developments Audi that was stuck out on the circuit. And Shea was right, it was going slowly down the back straight, but I was right as well, because it did stop between 3 and 4, and finally has ground to a halt at turn 6, so didn't take the opportunity to come into the pit lane for Leumann's, and has gone round for another lap, and that has been the undoing. That was the car that was in contact with the Alpha earlier on, so a bit untidy over the last 5 minutes for a number of cars and drivers, as we've got the track services working down at turn number 6, and in fact already excellent work by everybody concerned already. Nick's car is under tow through the shortcut, which if you've played any of the platform games, you'll know all about. Trying to find your way around there in the darkness challenges, always a nightmare. And he's on his way back to the pits. So almost, in fact, just over half an hour of racing completed, and doesn't feel quite, Jeremy, as though we've got in the swing of things yet, to be honest.
No, that's right. I mean, we had 3 laps before we went caution the first time around, and this time we had 6 or 7 laps before we've gone back to green again. But this is certainly great news for people like Robin Liddell, Owen Trinkler, Scott Andrews, who 3 guys in particular who got really fast cars. Their co-drivers are not nearly as experienced as them and don't have that sort of pace, but this is going to keep them well in contention with the rest of the field, and they're going to be able to make their mandatory pit stop only about 6 minutes or so from now. So probably pretty much when we go back to green, we'll see those guys ducking into the pits and the quicker drivers taking over. And particularly that Chevrolet, it's fast. It's set fastest lap in each of the last 2 races. And Robin Liddell is going to be licking his chops right now. Can't wait to get behind the wheel at number 71 Chevrolet Camaro. Yeah,
and with the field compressed as it is, that's really, really good. And Frank Depew playing his part, he avoided an accident in front of him at turn 5 at Road America, which kept them going. And we are going to get some takers. The pits have opened. He avoided the accident in front of him here as well, and has picked up 3 or 4 places, sits in 16th position. Shea Adam, rather surprisingly perhaps, we've got the top of the GS field coming in, but not Jensen Altman, who stayed out. Who you got?
Well, we are still 5 minutes away from minimum drive time being met, so I'm very surprised that any cars have come into the pit lane. But doing 4 tires and fuel, Cameron Lawrence in the number 95 Turner Motorsport BMW. We've got both of the Murillo Racing Mercedeses into the pit lane. Fuel and tires for them as well. Fuel and tires for the RS1 Porsche. It is still Eric Fogaris, though, because as mentioned, minimum drive time not yet met. We have Van der Steur Racing with the number 19 Aston Martin in the 83 BGB Motorsports Porsche. They're doing fuel only on that car. No, it's up on the air jacks. I take that back. Fuel and tires for Carbon in the number 39 Porsche. First car to get rolling once again was further down the pit. I think that was RS1. I think RS1 jumped Turner in that pit stop sequence. Carbon with a fantastic stop. Really good stop also from the number 27 Lone Star Racing Mercedes. They did fuel and tires. Vin Barletta. That was the sound of the Turner BMW. The left-hand tailpipes, there are 4 tailpipes on this car. The left-hand ones are firmly the center of the car, if not slightly on the right-hand side. Yeah, that's going to cut some power from the 96.
It's not breathing right, and if your car doesn't breathe right, it's not making the same amount of power. It's all about back pressure, and these things are very, very highly worked out by very clever people. Actually, a huge amount of calculation goes into this. It looks a bit pre-loved at the back. The fuel flap is flapping, flap, flap, and flap, not like the Foxtail Manta, just sitting on the right-hand side. That is a bit second-hand, that car, after backing in to the tyres. It's going to be pretty close, Jeremy, isn't it? Those guys who've just pitted may rue this, because there might be an opportunity at the end of this yellow for the guys who haven't pitted to come in after 40 minutes.
Yes, but this splits up the race. I mean, they can still easily make it to the end with, I mean, I think everybody's going to have to make 2 stops during this race in any case. So they can get to the end with just 1 more stop from here. And most of the guys who come in now are cars that have equally quick drivers, if you like, for the second stint. So it doesn't really matter who's driving the car at this stage. The guys who have a significantly faster guy to get into the car, they just serve out their 40 minutes now and then make their stop and hand over. But it's mainly the guys who have some equally fast drivers. They have a much wider window to play with, if you like.
Yeah, and a point here, Jeremy. Who is it going to be this week who gets caught out and brings their first driver in a minute too early because they've forgotten that the pit lane time that they've just spent doesn't count. We saw that last time out. TCR pit lane is now open. Adam has some callers.
The number 33 Hyundai is in. They're doing fuel and tires for that car. We've also got the 10 from the Rockwell Autosport. They too are doing fuel and front tires. Sticker tires going on to both of the BHA Hyundais further up the pit lane. That would be the number 1 and the number 98. But again, no driver changes because we have had 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 20 seconds to go, meaning that they are about a minute and a half short from when they came into the pit lane. The pit stop times from the GS cars, anywhere from 49 seconds for the 28 RS1 Porsche to a minute and 54 for the 88. So we do have to add that time on so that these guys don't undercut their times. And I'm a little worried because I see Robbie Foley up on the wall already. The 3 Brian Herta Autosport Hyundais were the first 3 cars back off the pit lane. Then we had the 17 Audi from Unitronic JDC, and then I believe that was Diley. I think Diley actually had a really good stop on that one. No, they didn't come in. Who was that car? Oh, it was the LA Honda World, the blue one.
The car that got out first was the number 1, Michael Lewis, and he's putting a lot of heat into his back tyres. Almost lost the car, actually, flicking its tires. Has got something hanging down underneath the right front of that car. Maybe part of the underbody, the engine tray there, and in 15 seconds we will have had 40 minutes. And I do reckon that we'll see some people in here, Jeremy. They've waited 2 extra laps under the safety car. The GS class split is happening now. So are we going to see some of these cars at the front of the field who haven't pitted? Are they going to peel in to the pit lane straight away? Problem will be, of course, they'll then end up, won't they, behind the TCR cars. It's a gamble here.
In any case, no,
Yeah.
they're going to do that in any case. So, answer to your question is, I think yes, but it'll be we won't. Oh, maybe we are going to go green this time around.
Oh, we're going green this
Safety
time
car light's
around.
just gone off.
Yes.
But that's fine. They can still come in now if they so choose.
Correct. 40 minutes and 39 seconds have elapsed. Only remember, for the cars that have not yet stopped, the first GS car in line that has stopped is the Accelerating Performance. Well, that can't be right.
No,
surely.
he had a problem earlier on.
Oh, that's right. So it's the RS1, Eric Figueras' car. Shea was right. They did bite everybody out. Now, I reckon everybody is pretty okay now. Not
Here
everyone's
comes
coming in, but Altman's coming in. But the Motorsport in Action Alex Filsinger car, we've gone back to green. As Jeremy mentioned, the lights were out, so it will be the McLaren Artura GT4 of Alex Filsinger go through, then Alfredo Najri, then Moise Ureski, then the first of the pit stoppers. That's Eric Filgueras and Shea Adam. You've got the 40-minute club in with you.
I do, and the clearest of all of them will be Jensen Altman to Joey Hand. So very good stop from MMR. To time that, they are doing front tires only for this Ford Mustang. We've got Vin Barletta clear of doing his drive time. They needed to get to 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 6 seconds elapsed for him to have hit minimum time. They got that and a little bit more. It's now Robbie Foley taking over the 96 Motorsport BMW to the end of this race. The crew members addressing some of the damage at the rear of the car, but not all of it. Also into the pit lane, the number 57 Windward Racing Mercedes. That car now has Daniel Morad aboard. We've got Frank Depew jumping out of the Rebel Rock Racing Camaro that comes in third in the championship, handing over to Robert Liddell. Kenton Cook is aboard the Random Vandals BMW number 92 after Paul Sparta did a great opening stint. That is the sound of the number 59 Mustang from Core Autos Motorsport, but they did a really bad job there blending back into the fast lane, driving down the transition lane for quite some time. So Luke Mars might get a slap on the hand for that. And that is now a very quiet pit lane all of a sudden. Great stops by everybody.
Yeah, and very good for Robin Liddell, who I think the 71 team, Rebel Rock Racing, have got him turned around pretty quickly. So Robin into the end now. All of those driver changes that Shea just mentioned, they are into the end of the race. One more pit stop for everybody. But what they've got to do now, all those drivers who've stopped, let's make this very simple, in simple words, they are generally speaking the faster drivers, the closers, if you will. and they have now got to use this little bit of track space that they've got at the back of the field and start taking time out of Alex Filsinger, Alfredo Najri, Moise Uretsky, particularly Eric Filgaras, who's made a stop, but not the stop for the lead. Now, interestingly, Anton Diaz-Pereiros and Tom Collingwood have come in to the pit lane to make their second stop and to do their driver change as well, Jeremy.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Because they came in earlier on. They filled it up with fuel, then sent them out again. So now all they've got to do is just change the driver and get out and go. So they don't have to wait for any fuel or anything like that. So that's the reasoning behind that strategy, why that strategy is playing out, and they're going to hope that they can somehow make some ground as a result of it.
By the way, in TCR, it was the Victor Gonzalez Racing team that took the lead, courtesy of not stopping. Jordan Wisely is in a 74 Hyundai in second. Michael Lewis, the first of the stoppers, the number 1 car, got out first and is in third, having made a stop. Shea Adam down in the pit lane for an update on car number 73, LA Honda World Honda Civic.
This is the blue one. It did not come into the pits during that sequence. I was wrong. Apologies to the team. They are having radio issues trying to communicate with Dr. Will Talley. They're trying to flag him in to come back into the pit lane, and they're hoping the radio issues get solved once they do the driver change, but that is never an easy thing.
Might just be a loose plug. Let's hope it is for their sake. That car was one of the cars that went sideways. A bit of AMG on AMG action, and in fact teammate on teammate action at the far end of the racetrack. And the 56 Murillo racing car breaking headlights, I think, as it ran into the back of its teammate. There was certainly some debris. Justin Piscatel running into the back of Kenny Murillo there. They're in 6th and 7th position, and slight damage on both of those cars.
And that's not good. That's the championship leading car is the one that's ahead on the road with Kenny Murillo at the wheel. He's one of the drivers has not yet changed in this race.
Yeah, and that it was his teammate doesn't make it any better either. Oh, and there's damage. There's damage on the under tray, and he goes side by side with the number 39, the Carbon Porsche. And this is the championship leader. Got to be clean here. His teammate following through. There was a bit of hip and shoulder there, but there's definitely bodywork, or under tray at least, flapping to the right rear of that number 72 of Kenny Murillo as he's coming through left traffic there. And who did we put in the number 39 last time around? As it's still Sean McAllister. He started the race, and we've got the Winward car off at the final corner, and Daniel Morad in that car. Daniel Morad in the Tecamet sponsored machine. I'm looking at that car. He's going to come into the pit lane because I think there's left front steering damage on that car. It didn't look right to me. And he's really struggling keeping it straight in the pit lane, weaving it backwards and forwards. But I think that could be a slightly longer stop. Is it just? It might just be a tyre. It might just be a tyre. Again, looks like it may have come off the bead there. They are shouting, tyre, tyre, tyre. It's the left front. Shea Adam on our way. We'll get to her in a moment as Alex Filsinger leads the motor race by 5 seconds from Alfredo Najri for RV Motorsport in second. McLaren from Toyota from BMW, with Cameron Lawrence moving up into third ahead of Eric Filgaras, who was the first of the pit stop, has now dropped back to 4th position and second of the cars that have stopped. Then Kenny Murillo for Murillo Racing, Sean McAllister for Carbon, having that battle that we were describing earlier on with those two Mercedes. And Shea Adam is looking at the left front of the Winward AMG, Daniel Morad. Odd one for Daniel, that. Shea Adam?
John, you were spot on. The Michelin just came off the bead. Very, very weird. Chris is having a look at it now, their tire guy, but everybody seems a bit perplexed.
There's been a lot of very, very sideways moments today, and it's hot and it's grippy, and I wonder if that is just putting a little more stress that the tyres are getting hot, maybe getting to their operating temperatures a bit earlier than people were expecting. And now another problem for the Rockwell Auto Developments car. This is the number 15 again, with Nick Leumans behind the wheel, and he's not getting that car home. He's already on the grass, and this is not. Yes, this is just moving slowly, Jeremy. It's
Get out of the way.
It's literally just come out. It's done one lap. Now, let's see if he can get that. There are a lot of cutouts here.
Stop it there.
I think he's dead stick, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think he's dead stick. And this is turn 3, NASCAR Bend. He did a lap. He came out from behind the wall. He's done a lap. He's just crossed the start-finish line. And also off LA Honda World. This is the 37 car. This is a turn, the Oak Tree corner. And that car is in the tyre stack. We haven't seen that. It's Mike Lamara who is behind the wheel, and we haven't seen that too often today. Plenty of people in the dust, but not many people in the tyres. He's trying to get reversed gear. An hour and 10 minutes still remain, and that is Mike just understeering off. Light contact with the double tyre stack on driver's left in the middle of the Oak Tree corners. Well, I said it had been untidy, and can't see that car is moving at them. Oh, yes, it is. Well, do you know what? You can have the curse of the top commentator. Maybe you can have the reverse as well. Because I couldn't see that car coming out there. The redemption of the commentator, it's been suggested by Shea. So we've stayed green at the moment. And Scott Andrews has just set a new quick lap for the race in the Lone Star Racing Mercedes-Benz. He's down in 18th position.
Yeah, done that in each of the last 2 laps, actually, John. There's number 27 car, Scott Andrews. He was one of the drivers that came into the pits after the lap after the restart. So he's quite a ways back behind everybody else, but that car is fast. It's been fast all weekend long. He was quickest, I think, in one of the practice sessions. He was second quickest, actually, the first session behind the other Mercedes of Daniel Morad.
So the Alpha has come into the pit lane just before a full course yellow has been called again, and this is for Mike Lamara, who could not get that car all the way out. Maybe there was slightly more damage to the left front than we could see, and straight behind the wall for the number 15 Rockwell car. So that car is not the car that's caused the full course yellow. It was the car off the track at Oak Tree. But that car is going back to its paddock area. Mike Lamara looks about as unhappy as a driver can be when you can only see his eyes. He's unfastened his straps in the car, and he's clearly not happy about something.
Came into this weekend 5th in the points. Former series champion, of course, is Mike Lamara. Won the ST championship back in 2012 with Terry Borchella, correctly, and he's still driving really, really well. Is Mike? He's had several really good results this season. He was on the podium the first round of the championship at Daytona, and he actually set fastest lap on the race also in round number 3 of this championship at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca as well. So it's been a good season for him. He'd be really disappointed to have made that mistake and run that car off the road.
Well, we'll see if the Murillo cars come into the pit lane next time around. If we do, she's going to have a look at the right rear of the number 72 to see if she can discern what bit is hanging down. So that strike on the wall has taken out the door mirror cover for Mike Lamara and the LA Honda World Honda. He was on his in lap, we're hearing, for the pit lane. Ryan Eversley was up on the wall, ready to go. So that will be certainly part of the cause of Mike's frustration. Just understeered off, and I think he's done damage to the left front of that car. As he reversed it out, it didn't seem to come out quite as straight. Yeah, and in fact, they've got to roll back. already up at the top, one of the big flatbeds, along with our AMR safety team. As ever, we pay great tribute to our AMR safety team, track services, the VIR safety team, and all of our course marshals, flag marshals, those on post, those observing, etc. And we thank them for their greatest gift of time. Now,
very good news this caution period for those that have just made a pit stop, particularly number 39, 44, 17 and 5. They come in just before that caution period, so they're going to be able to have made their stops, made their driver changes, and still come up to the back of the pack. Really, really good news for them. Bad news, particularly for Alex Filsinger in the leading car. But he was doing a nice job, wasn't he? He was not only out front, he was actually edging clear of that battle for second position. Number 95 car, Cameron Lawrence, he's worked his way through 2 or 3 cars. They got past, first of all, past Filgeras, then past Nasri as well. But he really wasn't making any ground on Filsinger, the young Canadian driver who was going very, very well in that motorsport in action McLaren Artura.
The question for me now, Jeremy, is the TCRs are getting close to be able to go from here. We're only about 5 minutes.
This will be a short yellow. This will be a short yellow because we're within 15 minutes of the previous caution period. So they're not going to have an opportunity now to make a pit stop.
Yeah, so for Alex Filsinger, not only does he lose his lead, he doesn't get a chance to make a yellow flag pit stop either.
He won't lose his lead. He'll hang on to the lead because he can stay out. Yeah, he can stay out in front.
Yeah, my point is he's lost the 5 seconds he'd built up though.
Right.
Yeah. So
and he can, with all the caution period that we've had so far, he can go a little bit longer before he makes his stop, and from there, conceivably, actually, it's not out of the realm. He might be able to make it one more pit stop after that, and everybody else is going to have to stop as well. So it might not be a total dead loss for that motorsport in action team.
Well, they've rolled the dice now, and I think they've got to stick with that kind of thinking and say we've got to just keep pushing as far into the race as we can and try and get to a spot where we can do one more pit stop. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Jeremy. 55 minutes of racing gone, so just on an hour or 65 minutes remaining. Here's how it stands, just in case we do get some pit stoppers. Alex Filsinger in the Motorsport in Action, the McLaren Artura, leads at the head of the field, and we still haven't started recovery yet of the LA Honda World car. In fact, there's a second tow truck coming up there because I think this needs a lift. It's not even going to go easily onto the flatbed. So there was clearly more damage than we realised on that car. So it's Filsinger from Cameron for Turner Motorsport in the BMW number 95, the yellow and blue car. Alfredo Nasri for Toyota and the red, white and black Supra. Number 14 in third. Kenny Murillo has the orange and blue Murillo Racing Mercedes in AMG, I should say, really, in fourth position. Then Filgeras in the RS1, the grey and green Porsche. That is fifth position. Murillo Racing second car, just Piscatel in sixth position. That's the 56 car. Rory van der Steur in the Aston Martin, which we thought had a bit of damage earlier on, but he's been keeping up with the top cars there. Still sits in seventh position in that number 19 blue and white Aston. Nola Sport Adam Adelson, multicoloured Porsche number 47. Garrett Adams for Fast Track Racing BMW. Then the Lone Star Mercedes of Scott Andrews, the very quick Scott Andrews, as the fastest lap of the race is in 10th. Now, who are the guys who have changed? Kenton Cook didn't start the race, so he is in the Random Vandals Racing BMW. Scott Andrews didn't start the race, Jeremy, did he?
Correct. No, he didn't. So
Scott Andrews is into the end. Kenton Cook is at the end of the Random Vandals BMW. So is Robin Liddell for Rebel Rock Racing in the Camaro.
Yeah, and right behind him is Robbie Foley. Despite that big off for Vin Barletta, he's still up there just outside the top 10 or 13th position for car number 90.
But have done their driver changes. The key thing is that the top 9 have not done their driver changes yet.
Right. And everybody else behind that has.
Yes, correct. This is going to be still an intricate recovery as we're coming down to the hour-long mark. Yeah, it was a front-end lift that was needed. Now, I dare say that car won't be brought all the way back. It might just go into the pit lane on the back straight.
I think that the number 64 car is showing us a lap down. I think that ploy, did they? No, they didn't come in with everybody else, did they?
It was a
slow. They've only made one stop, haven't they?
It was a slow pit stop. Owen Trinkler is in the car.
Yeah, but because the number 96, one of the reasons because the 69 didn't come in. Well, no, not even because of that. Just a bad stop, and they've lost a lap apparently.
Yes,
it's bad news for him.
They will get onto the back of the GS field, however, because we're doing the class split now. Actually, they are pulling that Honda all the way back around.
Yeah, by the way, this is the 188th start now for Owen Trinkler. Combined starts between the two TGM cars in this championship coming into this weekend is 609. And the combined age of number 46 and 64 is 226, which is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot of starts per year of even being on the planet, never mind per year of their racing. To be quite candid there. Experience of life as well as experience of racing, fair to say, team TGM. Well, we've cleared the Mike Lamara LA Honda World Civic. The Rockwell car did make its way back around using some of the shortcuts and has gone back into the paddock. So as soon as we get the GS cars to the front, which has now happened, the pit light closed has gone out, I am told. So it looks like we're going to go green next time around. And get the memes out. We're halfway there. Just on the hour mark. If only everyone could hear what Shea was singing in my ear, but it unsurprisingly was living on a prayer. Safety car lights are out, so we will go green at the end of this lap. Robin Liddell in 12th position, started his charge to the front from 17th for the win last time out. Second across the line, given the win afterwards, of course. And we will have...
Second time we've had that this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely right. We will have pit callers, I'm fairly certain of it, from the cars at the front of the field. And see if Alex Filsinger pulls straight off. The Lexus safety car streaks away. Alex Filsinger is staying much closer to the safety car than I would have expected if he was coming in. I think he's going round. He is. He gets the hammer down.
No reason to come in now.
No, absolutely not. However, in comes the Van der Steur Racing Aston Martin for Rory Van der Steur. So Shea will have a look at that one. That car we think had damage. Another great restart from Filsinger with the Cameron Lawrence BMW in behind. Side by side behind that, the number 64, that is the TGM car. Well, that's Owen Trinkler. So Owen Trinkler, and there's a touch there from Trinkler onto the BMW, I think, in front of him, and the 95 Turner car of Cameron Lawrence is in the fence. He'll pull it straight out. So Owen Trinkler is 2 cars away now, I think 1 car away from unlapping himself, Jeremy. So he was in that train. Not sure how that is showing on the timing as it is, but that is the case. Trinkler is right there in the 64 on the restart. But of course there was no pass around. He's a GS car. So that number 95 BMW has got back on the circuit. We'll get the Shea in a moment because there's a bit of drama down in the pit lane for the Van der Steur Racing car. And there was definitely a push there. Absolutely coming out of the NASCAR Tournament, and bump drafting on the straights. Yes, bump drafting coming out of corners. Isn't bump drafting, it's just pushing. Now, there's been a few cars into the pit lane, including Robin Liddell, who is in and out. He's now, I reckon, he's fueled to the end. He will go to the end of this race. Meantime, there's drama for Van der Steur Racing. Shea Adam has news.
They came in to do their stop, and they did execute 4-tire change and a driver change, handing over to Denis Dupont. Unfortunately, the car with the rear valance was not cleared to go back out. The tech official, Jim Fowler, was staring at it and said to the crew, "This is not safe. I can't let you back out onto the track." The crew then put jack stands underneath the car and stomped on that valance to get it to come apart from the rest of the vehicle. They did manage that, but then they dropped the car still on the jack stand, and then there was a real rotation as well. So day goes from bad to worse for Van der Steur. Also into the pit lane just now, we've got Michelin Racing, fuel only for Joey Hand. The Nola Sport number 47 Porsche is in. Elliott Skier taking over from Adam Adelson. That is a driver change, fuel stop only, and fuel, tires, and driver change for the number 28 RS1 Porsche. Stephen McAleer is behind the wheel of that one now.
Yeah, it's Austin McCusker who's gone back out in the Van der Steur Racing Aston Martin that was having that issue. He looks like he'll have to come back in for a drive-through if he had rotating wheels. They'll have been watching that. And the 64, Owen Trinkler, has been given a penalty drive-through for incident responsibility with the Turner Motorsport machine. So
that was bizarre. I mean, the point of the contact there, you're accelerating out of the corner, so it's bizarre that the Aston should have that much speed coming off the corner.
Well,
to be honest, to cause a problem.
Yeah. In traffic, things happen, but you've got to keep your wits about you. Owen he's got a fast car. He's worked his way through to second, and he's challenging to go back onto the lead lap.
Well, he was up there, at the restart. He'd been a lap down, but he was ahead of most of the other contenders there. I'm sure he passed anybody after the restart, but he was a lap down. But he wasn't at the tail end of the field.
No, indeed so. And into the pit lane for Owen Trinkler. This is his drive through, so this is going to put him back in traffic. 4 cars come across the line together, 3 of them GS's, down towards the first corner. Handy little lead now for the Alex Filsinger car. Now, it's been going on out on the circuit. A little bit of TCR action, and it's the other Rockwell Auto Development car, and a fine piece of avoidance by Tim Lewis, who's now aboard the KMW with TMR Alfa Romeo. So that was the number 70, the number 10 rather, from Rockwell, and the number 70, the Hyundai Elantra, which has been in and out of the pits. Jacob has taken that car back out again.
Yeah, they're good. Should be good to go from here. And that number 5 Alpha, that made a pit stop right before that caution period. So Tim Lewis Jr. is at the wheel of that car in 6th position now in the TCR, and he'll be chomping at the bit now, ready to get into this final 53 minutes of the race. The other guy that's been charging since the restart is Kenton Cook in car number 92. He took the restart in 11th position. A couple of cars have come into the pits, but he's now up inside the top 5. 4th position, in actual fact, for car number 92. That's the Random Vandals BMW. And Kenton Cook is, if not passed already, about to go past Alfredo Nandri. But it's still that McLaren that leads, taking advantage here of a nearly empty tank of fuel, but also running some impressive lap times at this stage in the race. With an hour gone in the race, still the same tyres, of course, on which he started, because he, along with Alfredo Nandri, the only 2 that have not yet made a pit stop in this race.
Yeah, in the whole.
And they should be able to go to the end from, if they, they should be able to go 52 minutes from here to make their final stop and be good to go.
Yeah, totally agree. Robin Liddell is fueled and tired till the end.
He's hoping for a caution now in particular, which will put him in particularly good stead, because with the caution now, Robin Liddell, Joey Hand, also Chris Wilson, Elliott Skier and Stephen McAleer, they could go to the end, whereas everybody else will still need to make one more pit stop.
Side-by-side action at turn 4, and it's AMG on AMG again. And this time, it's the number 57. That is That car had a problem earlier on, didn't it? The Winward car. That's going through on the 72 Murillo racing car, so that was a position change there as well. Just a note about Robin Liddell, he came out of his pits for that final splash in 17th position in class. Just seeing that.
With a really fast car.
Yeah,
so
he's
stand
already
back.
up to 14th. And so, if you're at the side of the circuit, you might want to take just a step or two back from the edge of the track at the moment, as Robin Liddell is relishing this challenge. Also going nicely earlier on, Scott Andrews at the number 27. It's the Lone Star Racing Blue AMG. He was setting very good lap times early on, so that's clearly a car that is going nicely. The blue, silver, number 27, just at the top of the hill now, coming down the aptly named roller coaster. And we've got 50, all of a sudden, Jeremy, we've got 50 minutes to go and another penalty. And this is for Alex Rockwell in the Rockwell Auto Developments car for that incident responsibility with the Daily Motorsport car. And that will be just a drive through. Now, here's what we wanted to see. Kenny Murillo in and Alex Filsinger in for his first stop. Shea Adam is waiting down by the Murillo car. We've already seen one car have to have remedial work. This car's got damage to the right rear as well, Shea.
It does, John. This isn't as serious as what I saw in the Aston Martin. This valance that's hanging down is only partial. It's right below the exhaust. It's a piece of carbon, and it's held in with several other screws on the right-hand side, even though the ones in the middle and the left-hand side have come off. Now, the sister car came in just a lap ago. That was Justin Piscatel handing over to Eric Foss. They did left-side tires only. Now, watching what Murillo is doing, they have done the two left-side tires. They are also changing the right front. They are not changing the right rear, waiting on the driver change. This is an exceptionally slow driver change, as they were done with fuel quite some time ago. Kenny Murillo shuts the door, and that car does go back out. There was no concern from the IMSA tech officials with this car. That one is allowed to continue.
That would have been the worry. Not sure how much performance they're losing from that. The underside of the car nowadays, even in a GT4 car, is still providing some downforce, and that sort of downforce is good downforce, Jeremy, because it's not draggy downforce, so you get the push down through the twisty bits without the slowing down on the straighter bits.
Yeah, fair comment there. And those pit stops for the two leaders, by the way, number 69 and 72, that put Kenton Cook into the lead across the start and finish line. But I think Scott Andrews was able to make the pass into turn one. So I think next time around we'll see Scott Andrews in that Lone Star Racing Mercedes in the lead of this race. That's car number 27. And he's been super quick. And he's now actually just come into the pits.
Yeah.
So Kenton Cook will go back into the lead as they complete their 30th lap. And Scott Andrews, he knows he can get to the end from here and run fast. So he's come into pits now for service with that number 27 Mercedes.
And off for the number 74 Hyundai. Cabot Bingham for, excuse me, for the Hyundai Elantra. Confused myself there, and that has got a whole heap of grass in, so he'll need to come into the pit lane. Alex Rockwell comes out having to serving his penalty, and Bingham comes immediately into the pit lane. I think that's very smart indeed. Let's keep an eye on the cars coming up through the field. We've still got Matt Pombo leading in 9th position overall in TCR, 9th position overall, leading TCR. Let me put those words in the right order so that it actually makes some kind of sense. The LA Honda World number 73 then leads by 2 seconds from Mikey Taylor in the Unitronic Audi. That was the pole-sitting car from the Alfa Romeo. In third, that was a car that had a tyre pulled off the rim earlier on, but crucially stayed on the lead lap. They got a bit of luck with that, but also Ken did a good job to bring that car back. They're still to I think they've still got to make their last stop, haven't they? Robin Liddell is up to 12th overall, 9th in class now. and lapping round about 0.8 of a second faster than the leading cars, at least that actually. Although Robbie Fawley's picked up the pace recently and is closing down on Kenton Cook at the head of the field. Jeff Westphal just done his first lap with a 55.9. More pit stops. Spencer Pumpelly heads to the pit lane from third. Stephen Cameron Racing comes in as well. These are the guys deciding it's time to go. And remember, they've got to have this. If they haven't had their second driver in, they've got to be in well before the 40-minute mark. Let's go down to the pit lane to Motorsports in action. Alex Filsinger is out of that car, having led the race. Shea Adam.
Alex, it started with a great qualifying by you yesterday, but then to go into the race to lead, did you swap out your fuel bottle or your water bottle for extra fuel or something? That was amazing.
I wish I didn't even have a water bottle in the car. I just focused forward and drove my drive.
What is it about this track that suits your style?
It's all high speed and technical, and that's where I shine. Low speed stuff really doesn't work for me, but this is just awesome.
Does this place remind you a little bit of CTFP, a bit of home stomping ground?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, hey, great job out there. Good luck. Hopefully we see you at the podium.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, how's that going to play out with that car? And Jesse Lazar now behind the wheel of that car has dropped all the way down to 21st. Take nothing for granted here. 21st in class, I should say.
Yeah, but it's certainly looking good for Robin Liddell here. If he's got enough fuel, that Chevy Camaro can be pretty frugal as well. So we saw last time out at Road America, it was very frugal. He was able to spin out that final stint a long, long way, as were the two Fords that finished behind him as well and end up being on the podium with the Chevrolet Camaro.
Yeah, so he's actually driven through. So right now, when Kenton Cook...
No, he made his pit stop before everybody else.
Yes, but he made his second pit stop, and then, you know, he's not going to need the yellow flag you were talking about because the cars ahead of him are all about to stop. He's going to end up in second position.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, behind Jeff Westphal.
That's what I'm saying. He's in really good shape.
He didn't need the yellow flag. Fuel and left side only for Turner Motorsport. Shea Adam is at the pit stop.
Yep, and that is a driver change going on too for that number 95 Turner Motorsport BMW. 96, sorry, actually, no, that's not a driver change. That's Robbie Foley staying aboard. Brandon Vandals was in. Kenton Cook, fuel and left side tires for him as well. And this is fuel, tires, and driver change. Julian Santero taking up for the number 14 Ave Motorsports Toyota.
So Kenton Cook stays in that car. He's fueled to the end of the race now for Random Vandals, but he's of course dropped back down given that time in the pit lane. The Ave Supra is in. Is any work going on that? Oh yes it is, yeah. Car's back down on the ground. Yep, excuse me, fuel and left side for that car as well. And now we've got an empty pit lane with Alfredo Najri having brought the Toyota in, and Julian Santero taking it out. Fascinating. Now, let's see what happens, Jeremy, for the next 43 minutes, shall we?
Yes, indeed. This is going to be really interesting. And of course, Robin Liddell's certainly looking really, really good here. But he's got to make. He won't be pushing too hard at this stage. We want to make sure he's got some rubber underneath that Chevrolet Camaro in the closer stages. And as well as having good fuel consumption and good pace, the Chevy is also pretty good on its tires as well. So everything is looking good for the Scotsman at the moment. That Chevy Camaro, it weighs more than the Porsche Cayman certainly, but it's lighter than most of the other cars in this field. It's 50 kilograms lighter than the BMWs, for example.
Going to be a drive-through for Taylor Hagler. Pit lane speed violation, just 1 kilometre an hour, but that will take her out of 5th position in that number 1 Brian Herter Autosport with Curb Agajani and Elantra. Robert Wickens in the number 33. That car has the fastest lap in the TCR race. The pace picking up. We've still got Mikey Taylor and Tim Lewis way ahead of the rest of the TCR field, because they still owe us a pit stop, I believe, in the Audi number 17 for Unitronics and the Alfa Romeo. No, actually, didn't they just stop just before the yellow came out for Mike Lamara? I think they did.
Yes, that and the Alfa that are running 1-2 now in TCR, and actually third and fourth overall.
Yes.
Those two cars both came in before that final caution, that last caution period.
So can they go to the end?
Well, it'll be a stretch, that's for sure, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Yeah, they've got a heck of a lead on everybody else in the class, though, haven't they?
Yeah, because they came in right before that caution period.
Yeah, absolutely. So they now can just pace themselves to the end. Matt Pombo picks up his pace in the number 73 LA Honda World Civic. It's the fastest lap of the TCR race, 156.4. Scott Andrews still has the GS fastest lap, 153.8. And just remember this number, 25.8 seconds. That's the gap between Jeff Westphal and Robert Liddell in respectively the car barn with Peregrine Porsche and the Chevrolet Camaro.
Yeah, the only other guy who's really in contention, I think, is potentially Scott Andrews.
Yeah.
Who is that car? He's already set the fastest lap of the race. He's running in 5th position overall at the moment, behind the two TCRs. Although he might have dispensed with them by now because he was right with them at the beginning of this lap. But other guys are on a kind of a conventional strategy, determining. Oh, yeah. We see the number 95 car there and the McLaren. They're running together now, but they were first and second. They're now 20th, 21st.
Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the booth. And Shea Adam down in the pit lane. If I sound like I'm concentrating very hard, it's because I've been doing a wee bit of arithmetic. If the race was to end now in GS, your championship leader would be the number 72 car on I reckon 1,900 points. In second place on 1,860 would be the number 71 Camaro and the 96 BMW, whose teammate got turned around a little while ago.
That's a replay, is it?
By Owen Trinkler. Yes, it is, yeah. And so the 96 Turner car would be 10 points further back.
That's bizarre.
So the top three in GS would be separated by 50 points, 50 points, if the race ended as it is right now. Something tells me that Christian Simchak for Murillo will be trying to improve. Has got his teammate ahead of him by a couple of seconds. Don't see them helping out too much there. There was a wee bit of tap between those two early on, but that's a long way back for Simchak to stretch out that lead. Can't afford any more problems there.
No, and yeah, he's come out ahead. He came into the pits on lap. Yeah, lost it now. On lap 29, so five or six laps to go. He came in to the pits on the same lap as did the McLaren, the number 69 car, and they were pretty much nose to tail before that stop. Number 72 car is out ahead of the 69 and a 95, which is also right with them, but had that tap into a spin earlier on. But he's still got an awful lot of work to do, does Christian Simchak, to make up some useful championship points, I should say.
Let's head down to the pit lane, and Shea Adam has more drivers to talk to in what's been a fractured race so far, Shea. Difficult to get into the rhythm of it. Let's hope for a bit of green flag racing here for the last 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, it has been difficult for sure, but for the starting drivers, I mean, Michael Lewis, even you stayed out there for quite a long time, and you look exhausted. How hard is it going to be for these drivers to take it to the checkered flag?
Yeah, VIR is a tough track in itself, you know, whether it's cold or hot, and super fun, but when it gets pretty hot and humid, you just roast in the car. I mean, Mark Wilkins, my teammate, veteran, legend, was behind me, pushing me most of the way, so no time to rest, and yeah, it's going to be tough for finishing drivers, but like many have said today, it's what we prepare for.
You and Taylor won the race. You know how to do this in the past, but now the focus shifts toward the sister cars fighting for the championship. How hard do you have to fight to stay out of their battle?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Right now we're letting Taylor finish, letting her learn. We're basically out of the Drivers' Championship. We're just kind of letting her learn, and also helping our teammates, kind of playing wingman. So it's a different dynamic, and yeah, you don't want to step on their toes, but sometimes you got to send it because otherwise back them up and be awkward. So it's finding that balance and just trying to help my teammates when they were getting hounded by other cars out there. But shout out to Brian Hurd Autosport for being behind us, giving us 3 great cars in that pit stop. Taylor's new to finishing, she killed it, and the guys did a mega fuel and tire change. So it was super fun to stay up front in the #1 car for a while.
Yeah, it was nice to see the #1 out front again. Great job out there, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for everyone watching at home. Hi to my wife, and yeah, hopefully we can come out all right, and good luck to my teammates.
And John, he's a super guy, as you know. He looks exhausted.
Oh, I'm not surprised. This is a tough, physical track. There's lots of direction changes, and even these GT4 and TCR cars, Jeremy, it's physical round here, and you can have your drinks bottle and you can have the aids. It doesn't get around the fact you've still got to physically pull the car around here. I know you've got all the aids in the car nowadays, but this is tough. This is a workout.
Well, it certainly is, no question about that. And yeah, we're seeing now. Yeah, it's hot, it's humid, it's sticky. This track is physical, and so they are getting a real workout out there. But it's a great race unfolding right now. Just watching the lap times of Scott Andrews, he's certainly making some ground toward Robin Liddell. Caught him last lap by around about a second. But it's still number 39 car leads Jeff Westphal on a completely different strategy pretty much to everybody else. But he has made he'd made 2 pit stops, but the last one was a little while ago. Now he came in, I think it was under the caution period. I don't think he's been in since then. So he's running out front. He's going to have to make a pit stop before the end of the race. I don't think there's any way he can get to the end from here.
So coming down to 35 minutes to run. Here's how it stands. Mikey Taylor and Tim Lewis proudly 4th and 5th in the overall for TCR. Scott Andrews, he's flying at the moment, has just gone past them. Last time I looked, it was 5 seconds between him and Robin Liddell. It's under 3 now. Robin Liddell's pulled about a second back on Jeff Westphal. And those are the top cars. Joey Hand coming back as well with the... it is in 5th position. We're coming back earlier racing. The battle for the final podium spot in TCR is Hyundai based, with 3 of them. The number 98 Mason Filippi, Robert Wickens in the 33, and Tyler Maxson for Van der Steur Racing in the blue and white number 91. And they're all in at about 5 seconds apart, with Matt Pombo right in behind Tyler Maxson actually for the LA Honda World Civic number 73. But the 2 guys at the head, courtesy of that super call for the pits when they saw Mike Lamara in the wall at Oak Tree, that has given them the opportunity to put a lot of real estate between themselves and the rest of the field. Just looking actually to see how far it is. So the Alfa's just coming out to the school pits, and who's the next car that's fighting? The 98's just coming through turn 5. It's getting on for half a lap they've got on the rest of the field.
Yeah,
that's manageable. You know, that is a manageable gap. If you don't go yellow and you're margining on fuel, Jeremy, that's a lot of real estate to play with to be able to soft pedal those 2 TCR cars up.
That's exactly right here. And, you know, we heard some of the drivers say yesterday the limiting factor wasn't necessarily going to be tyres, fuel, but tyres. So can they look after their tyres and stretch the fuel as well? They got a lot of work to do in both of those 2 cars. I think at this stage, it's still over half an hour remaining in this race. They they can probably just about get to the end of here, and they want to make sure they don't use up all their tyres before the end, just in case they need to do some scrapping in the closing stages. Meanwhile, that gap between second and third, Robin Liddell and Scott Andrews come down again last time around by about a half a second. So the gap from first to second has come down from it was 25.8 seconds, it's now 22.4 from Westphal in the lead in that car barn with Peregrine Racing Porsche.
When did that car last stop, Jeremy? I know it's been
It came in under caution on lap 21.
Right, so
before right before the caution period came out, that stopped the same time as the Alpha and the leading TCR car. They all stopped at the same time, right before the caution period came out.
So Liddell splashed again at the end of that caution period, so he's got a slight fuel advantage. That was 26 minutes ago, and thanks to lead triggers, he tells me the two lead TCR cars have 51 seconds over that third, fourth, fifth on down battle on a lap that is round about 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes. So you're talking about, as I said, in terms of real estate and time, just under half a lap advantage. That's what good strategy can give you. Those two teams have to be in the shout, for me, for the TCR Michelin moment of the race. It was a quick call, had to be made quickly for where they were on the track, and maybe in conjunction with the drivers who were looking across there at the time and saw that, maybe saw it on the screen, but it worked really well. They've both been out now 20 minutes longer than the third place TCR machine. But as we've said, fuel management is key for them. They've got the time in hand. So Jeff Westphal, 56.7 last time around. Robin Liddell, 55.7 last time around. And Scott Andrews, bless his heart, the top three of them, are 54.7 last time around. That might just, Jeremy, suggest the differing thoughts of the Car Barn, Rebel Rock and Lone Star racing teams. Exactly a second between first and second, and exactly a second between second and third, to the advantage of the cars that are chasing.
Yeah, which makes it a lot more interesting, doesn't it? And certainly Scott Andrews here, he is absolutely flying, and he is looking potentially to catch Robin within the next couple of laps. The two Fords running in pretty close contact as well. Number 59 car of Luca Mars had a great second place finish last time out at Road America. Really good strategy for that team. Well, both Ford teams it was at Road America, because they were both on the podium with the number 13 car in third position. Jensen was sharing that weekend, of course, with Chad McCumbee. Now he's with Joey Hand this weekend. But Luca Mars, once again, doing a really, really good job with that number 59 car. The youngster from Sir Wickley in Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. He's only, it's his second season of racing, effectively. And he made his debut last year. He was too young to take part in the first race of the season. Still only 17 years of age is Luca Mars, and really, really impressive job he is doing once again with that core Motorsports Ford Mustang car number 59. And meanwhile, Robin Liddell, you can see now that Lone Star Mercedes is right on his tail.
I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm also watching the championship leader, Christian Simchak from Murillo Racing. He's got ahead of his teammate. He's now up to 14th position in class. He's only half a second behind Matt Plum in the TGM Aston Martin. Also, if we're talking championship battle, you've got to look at Robbie Foley in the 96 Turner Motorsport. He's up to 6th place now, and he's
been a great run.
He's lapping nicely, around about the same time as Robin Liddell last time around. So this is all getting very interesting for the GS battle, with still 2 rounds to go after this one. We're on the battle on the bricks, and that is a 4-hour race next time out for Michelin Pilot Challenge into the twilight of the Saturday evening. I'm so envious of anyone who's going to that, camping on the infield. I think I might have put my hand up for that, to be quite honest. And then, of course, we finish off at Petit Le Mans And this championship battle could well go down to that, will go down to that race, unless something extraordinary happens. And we might be looking again, Jeremy, at a place here, a place there, to decide the GS championship, because that's how close it is right now.
Brilliant, isn't it? And
Yeah.
Robbie
Three
Foley
different
there
cars,
is,
by the way, that we're talking about as well, in terms of the manufacturers, because we've got that Camaro, we're talking the BMW, and the 72, of course, is the AMG GT4. I know people don't like talking about BOP, but I doff my cap to IMSA Technical, particularly in GS, because we have had such brilliant racing from all of the manufacturers.
Absolutely, yeah. For a while earlier on in the race, there were six different manufacturers holding the top 6 positions. Right now, it's just 4, but there's 5 out of the top 6, because it's Porsche, Chevrolet, Mercedes, and 2 Fords. Then the best of the BMWs. That Robbie Foley doing a brilliant job after that incident for Vin Barletta earlier on. Then it's just another Mercedes. Chris Wilson running super job in that Will Sports team. And then Elliot Skier in the second of the Porsches. That's kind of a 47 for Nola Sport. And right with him now is Kenton Cook inside the top 10. And Spencer Papelli is right there as well, and Stephen McAleer. And, you know, this is a race that still has 25 minutes to go, thankfully.
There'll be a few people who are hoping for an issue somewhere to close this up, not least probably Scott Andrew, who's got a very fast car at the moment. I am just going to say that there's a wee bit of damage on the leader on the front splitter. That car has been off into the dirt. It's a wee bit dusty on the front end, and the front splitter just to the left of centre, there's a song in there somewhere, is just looking a bit saggy on that, and I think it is just grazing the ground at time. And just hearing from Shea that we've got another Aston in problems. This is the Archangel Motorsport number 88, Billy Johnson in that car, sitting down in 20th at the moment, and that's another diffuser that looks to be coming away. Hello.
They've had problems all season, all race, all weekend long. Don't think they've had a trouble-free session yet. Really unfortunate.
Hello to Alan Prosser, who is home in time to watch the world feed. Hello, Alan. Hope you've had a good night at the hostelry tonight. Scott Andrews goes through into second place, just coming into turn 3. Robert Liddell didn't fight too hard there. Got a feeling that he's thinking championship right now, Jeremy. Robert Liddell, that is. Scott Andrews is thinking how quickly he can close the 19-second gap between himself and Jeff Westphal. Slightly different mindsets between those two at the moment.
Yeah, true. 24 minutes remaining. He couldn't close 19 seconds, so he's going to be relying on that number 39 car needing another pit stop, but he's just got to stay where he is right now. Had a birthday yesterday, did Scott Andrews. I was texting back and forth with him, and he sent me a text after qualifying. Anton Diaz-Pereira, with whom he shares this Lone Star Racing Mercedes, had a bit of a difficult qualifying session. I told him to keep the faith. Well, he's keeping it. Not only is he keeping the faith, Anton did a nice job in that first stint, and Scott Andrews is now into the second position.
Jesse Lazar's just got ahead of Robert McGuinness. Robert McGuinness in the BMW, in the battle between two very different looking cars, the low slung sleek McLaren and the rather more upright BMW. But BMW and McLaren can race because of that BOP that we were talking about earlier on, and that's why it works so well, because we have a variety of cars in looks, in noises, even in their respective strengths and weaknesses at different circuits. I don't think that splitter damage is getting any worse, but it certainly is lower to the left front of the car. Oh, huge slide by the leader coming out of the turn 3 NASCAR bend. Now, remember, he's been out a bit longer, his tyres are a wee bit older. Is Jeff Westphal beginning to feel the heat, or at least are his rear Michelins beginning to feel the heat? Behind him, he's got, I believe that's the Van der Steur Aston Martin and Austin McCusker, that car patched up, and he's not dropping that car at all. In fact, look looking at the times, Oscar Mikuska, yeah, was pretty much spot on the same time as our leader last time around. He's sitting dutifully behind him at the moment, but it just starts to look to me, Jeremy Shaw, as if that number 39 car bomb with Peregrine Racing Machine just getting a little more frisky to drive.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean, it's been already the longest stint of the race by anybody at this stage. He came in on lap, made the pit stop after 21 laps, so he's done 22 laps, of which maybe 3 or 4 were under caution period. But since then, he's been running really nice, consistent laps in the front of the field, running mid 56s. Fastest lap of the race was a 53.8. But look, we know how hard these tyres have to work around here. So he's managing it and trying to stretch it as far as he possibly can. I still don't think he has much chance to get to the end of this race, but if there's a full course caution, then maybe he can. So he doesn't want to push too hard, because at this stage he saves as much fuel as he can and also save the tyres as well. If there's a lengthy caution, perhaps he can get to the end, and then if he's got some rubber left, he can actually battle for it as well. So he's got lots to think about at this stage of the game as Jeff Westphal in that leading car barn with Peregrine Racing Porsche.
Just looking at the TCR battle, Mikey Taylor just pulled out a little bit. He's got a couple of cars between himself and Tim Lewis, respectively, in the Unitronic number 17 Audi. That's the yellow, black and white Audi. And Tim Lewis in the black and gold BMW Motorsports TMR Alpha. I'm not seeing the chasing hordes led by the number 98 Mason Felipe, Brian Herter, Autosport Elantra. They are not gaining appreciably on those two leaders. If you remember, I said the number 5 car was just coming out of Oak Tree as the chasing pack were coming through turn 6. Well, it was between 5 and 6 last time around as well. So that 50, 51, 52 seconds is sort of remaining constant. They are not so there may be a degree of soft pedaling going on at the front of the field, but it's not affecting that gap, Jeremy.
Indeed it isn't, John, you're absolutely right. 50 seconds it was last time around between the second and third place cars. There's about 3 seconds maybe between Mikey Taylor and Tim Lewis, so Mike is doing a good job here. We've seen in the past the Audi does struggle with tyre wear, so he'll be very, very, well, he is very, very mindful of that. He's been trying to soft pedal it, not so much necessarily from the fuel aspect, but certainly from the tyres as well. And Mikey's doing a good job at this stage with 19 minutes remaining now as a replay of that pass for Scott Andrews. Makes the move into turn 3, sneaks past Robin Liddell for second position.
And has pulled out 2 seconds on Robin, and has taken those 2 seconds out of Jeff Westphal's lead as well. So this is building very nicely indeed. Billy Johnson and Owen Trinkler come to the pit lane from the end of the GS field. Still a flapping diffuser on Billy's car for Aston Martin and for Archangel Motorsport. Scott Andrews now within 15 seconds. Fuel for the car and water for Owen Trinkler for the number 64 car. Jeff Westphal's lead, as I say, under 15 seconds. Shea Adam has been asking the question about that lead car, the car bomb with Peregrine Racing Porsche. Always difficult to get a straight answer. So what have the team said, and what do you deduce from what they said and how they've said it, Shea?
Part of the reason that I love Carbon with Peregrine Racing is because Steve Dinan, who is the big brain on the box, never gives me a lie. He always tells me the truth of what's going on. I said, can you make it on fuel? He said, nope. I said, could you make it on tires if there was a yellow? And he goes, probably not. Jeff would be struggling out there. That would just be cruel. We know when we have to come in and splash. We know where we're going to filter back out. And even then, it's going to be a bit of a struggle to hang on to positions. Nope, the 39 will not be our Cinderella story today, unfortunately.
Well, fair play for you for asking and for Steve Dine and Jeremy for answering the question. That's what we expect of him.
Yeah, absolutely right. As Jay said, he's a straight-up guy, Steve. One of the best guys in the paddock. Just been around the sport a long, long time, and really, really good guy. But I'm surprised, if he knows he's got to stop, why not stop now? Have fresher tyres and give him 20 minutes to run hard towards the end, because he's going to lose. How long is he going to lose with a pit stop? 50 seconds or so. Where's that going to put him? Is it going to put him anywhere in contention? No, it's probably not. He's going to be at the back of the package in any case. Probably,
I'm going to guess, Jeremy, that all they'll do is splash him for fuel as late as they can. And he will have to... Oh, hang on, somebody facing the wrong way there on the start of the lap. And this is a moment or two ago, off for the LA Honda World 73 car. They've not had a great day today.
Pombo and Wickens having a battle there for a fourth position in the class.
So somebody facing the wrong direction now. So let's just go back then. 39, the leading car, with at the moment 13 seconds of a lead, will have to stop for a splash of fuel.
Yeah, but my point here, John, is, he's losing a second and a half or more to the guys behind him. If they cut their losses 15 minutes ago, come in, made a pit stop, with a fresh set of tyres, if they have a fresh set of tyres, how hard could he have charged and how far could he have made it up? Because if he comes in now, or anytime in the next 12, 15 minutes, he's not going to be at the end. So I think they're gambling on there being a full course caution and hoping that perhaps he can somehow, by hook and crook, stretch it to the end. I think it's a forlorn hope, though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Still, those two Fords are battling away for fourth and fifth positions. Joey Hand just ahead of Luca Mars, so the youngster there getting some tips, I'm sure, from the old master. How to call old Joey Hand an old master, but that's what he is these days, isn't it? Let's face it. And Robbie Foley is inching a little bit closer to those two in that number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW. Not closing up quickly, just a couple of tenths here and there. But every position that Robbie Foley can make forward is good for his championship aspirations, particularly with Christian Schimjack down in 13th position in the class still. Yeah,
having made up another position, he got past Matt Plum. He was down in 16th. He got past his teammate Eric Voss. Now he's gone past Matt Plum as well. So that is another couple of positions made up for the number 72. What's he got though? He's got about another 3 seconds to get to Michael Cooper in the Accelerated Performance Porsche, and then there's quite a big gap, actually, 8 seconds or so before he gets to the Stephen Cameron Racing BMW to get into the 11th spot. That might be on if that car's going well, but that, remember, is going to close everything up at the top of the championship standings.
I think Robbie Foley now is right with the two Fords.
He is.
So it's a game on now for fourth, fifth and sixth positions. Robbie on the racetrack.
And I tell you what,
up through the uphill, up the climbing S's.
Joey Hand, Luca Mars, Robbie Foley. Yeah, I'm not picking any one of those to come out on top. It could be brilliant, it could be
Luca Mars has got past Joey Hand, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. 1 second,
I think
yes, he
was ahead of him there.
Yes, he has. Alex Rockwell's got more problems as well, coming down to the final corner. Let's hope he can get across the road to the pits. Yeah, good spot, Jeremy.
Yeah, because they were virtually side by side as they went across the line. Judging by the time, he just 0.026 between the pair of those Fords, with Robbie Foley looming large in their mirrors.
Daniel Morad comes into the pit lane for Winward. Just for a moment, I caught that out the corner of my eye and I thought, oh, is that Scott Andrews coming in? But no, they are similar, but not the same. So the Lone Star Racing car now 8 seconds away from a leading car that won't be leading. It will have to stop, unless within the next 13 minutes there's some kind of conflagration and we finish under yellow. And we've got a car in the pit lane that is smoking. That is that number 10. that I was talking about coming into the pit lane slowly. Alex Rockwell, that car is steaming. It's right in the middle of pit lane, and it's getting some assistance from its crew. The IMSA officials are there as well, but I think that was just brake heat rather than anything else. And the car is being pushed out of the fast lane, out of the acceleration lane, and towards the pit wall. Not been a good run today for the Rockwell Auto Development's Audis. We lost Nick Loymans earlier on. Yeah, absolutely.
All sorts of bad luck, haven't they, this weekend? But they've been running well periodically. That's the good news. And Mikey Taylor, he's still got about 3 seconds in hand over Tim Lewis in the lead of that class. And it's been a really finely judged drive so far. What are we now? Inside 12 minutes to go in this race. And by the way, up at the front of the field, Jeff Westphal clearly thinks he can get to the end, or hopes he can get to the end, because he's losing hand over fist in terms of time. Lost 2.5 seconds last time around to Scott Andrews, who doesn't want to have this race handed to him on a plate. He wants to win it on the road as well.
Andrews in traffic last time around and lost 1.5 seconds to Liddell in the middle sector, but that is the old multi-class racing adage. I'm not reading too much into that. Traffic giveth, traffic taketh away. A 1:57.0 to Scott Andrews and a 56.5 to Robin Liddell.
And both Luca Mars and Robbie Foley did get past Joey Hand,
yeah.
So another position gain for Robbie Foley. And now he's right with Luca Mars as well, looking to make that up into 4th position. What a tremendous run for that number 96 team for Turner Motorsport, because that was a big off that Vin Paoletta had earlier on. The caution came out right afterwards, which was really fortunate for him. But they've done a fabulous job both in the pits and with the strategy and with Robbie Foley's driving to get right back into contention here. Potentially here for even a 3rd place finish, another podium for that team, which could be crucial in their championship hopes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Jeremy.
And also, by the way, Christian Shimjak has closed that gap to Michael Cooper.
Yep.
So he's right with Michael Cooper in the battle for 12th and 13th.
It's 9.5 seconds after, if he can get past Michael Cooper, it's 9.5 seconds. I don't think that he's going to get any further up, but those points for that extra place could be crucial for that car as well. And Shea Adam, there's movement on the pit lane, and it's significant.
Yeah, the guys from Carbon are up on the wall. It means Jeff Westphal is going to be coming in, probably not this lap, but the lap after. So they will relinquish the lead, and Scott Andrews and Lone Star Racing with their Mercedes will take over.
Here is the leader picking his way through traffic. Goes past Robert Wickens, who is still in 3rd place in TCR. He's had Mason Filippi about 0.5 second behind him for the last 45 minutes. Filippi will know every single decal and rivet on the back of Robert Wickens' car. Now we've got a problem here for the Alfa Romeo. The car has stopped, and it's Control-Alt-Delete from 2nd place. 2nd place, and what a great run KMW have had. I think that's dead stick. That might be it for Tim Lewis. His hands are off the wheel. He's trying to get it going. He's cycling power. Now, where has he stopped? It's turn 7. That's right up off the circuit. He's off the circuit to driver's right. So has he had an incident there that's brought him to a halt, or was it a mechanical problem and he's pulled off? He's nosed into some green Armco there. Well, what a nightmare. What an absolute nightmare. Great strategy for them. Oh, my goodness. Now, do you leave the 39 out, Jeremy? They were due to come in from the lead of the race. Do you leave the Carbon car out? It's a full course yellow. 8 minutes to go. And there's, well, I'll give Tim Lewis his due. He tried to get as far out of the way as possible. If he'd pulled up the hill onto the Patriot course, he may have kept us green. And
he tried, didn't he? He got most of the way up there, but just no juice. Has he run out of fuel?
So comes underneath the bridge, and then oh no, he's gone off. Ran on. Lack of concentration there, Jeremy. That's heat. That is a mistake you do not see Tim Lewis do. Ran his right-hand side Michelins onto the grass, going up the first part of the snake, and lost control of the car. One side will have had more grip than the other, and the car pitched around, and he's into the barriers. That tells you how hard these drivers are working. That is not the Tim Lewis that we know, Jeremy.
No, that's really unfortunate. A really good performance once again from that little Alpha team, and yeah, he's going to climb out of the car. Clearly his day is done. Has he had a fuel though? I wonder. I mean, something strange happened there to that Alpha, didn't it? And I don't think it's. I mean, he seems to be walking around okay. It doesn't seem to be heat related there for Tim Lewis.
No,
He's
I'd agree.
Get a ride back with the safety team. But
I'd agree with that.
Something went awry with that car.
Well, let's speak to Shea Adam, who's been talking to the team. What do you know, Shea?
The team reporting that he came on the radio and said something snapped and he couldn't turn the car back to the left. It was probably a result of that early contact.
Ah, yes, very good point, and well remembered. That was the RG Bargy with Nick Loymans, wasn't it? And that car pitched sideways, lost a right front tyre in that as well. Pass around coming. So
yeah,
he's driving
we
in
won't
a
open the pits here.
No, he's driving in a straight line, and then the car just eased off the track, and at that point, it rather looked like Tim was just a passenger.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
Tim, I apologise.
What a great shame.
I apologise, Tim. Yeah, not a loss of concentration there.
No, that's a great shame. I mean, they've already had 3 wins this season, and including last time out at Road America.
What does that do to TCR, Jeremy? Because Robert Wickens, Mason Filippi, Matt Pombo, Tyler Macklin are all going to be up the tailpipes and Mikey Taylor, and they will be, because they'll all be put back together, assuming we get back to green. Jeff Westphal.
We get back to green. 5 minutes remaining.
Oof. Well, it'll be tight. It'll be very tight. And Jeff Westphal, this is what they were waiting for. This is what Car Bomb were waiting for. Shea Adam, when we said, they might not even be able to stretch it, and then will he have any tyres? And Shea Adam actually said in my ear, unless it finishes under yellow. And that, this is why you roll the dice, Jeremy, isn't it?
It absolutely it is, yes, because he's now, it's possible. Those TCR cars, by the way, most of them, I think all of them actually been lapped, hadn't they? Yeah, they'd been lapped by the overall race leader, but not lapped, crucially, by Mikey Taylor. So that is why this caution is taking longer than it would otherwise have done, because the TCR cars that had not been lapped by its class leader have to be waved around a safety car, pull up towards the back of the field. They don't have to wait till they get to the back of the pack. So if we can get clean before that, they will. But this will bring them all back onto the lead lap with Mikey Taylor. And then, if
we're going to try and get back to green, we are going to try and get back to green. They are not going to recover the Alpha. They've moved it to what has been deemed a place of safety on the infield. Michelin moment.
Stand back in that case.
Well, yes, Michelin moment of the race then in TCR. It's got to be the Unitronic guys at the moment, hasn't it, Jeremy?
Yes, I would say so. I mean, they called the strategy absolutely perfectly, coming in to the pits right before that yellow came out. They saw there was an incident on the track, I believe, and brought that car in. It was fairly marginal on fuel, but this caution should play into their favour. They've had quite a bit of bad luck this season for that team, but the one time previously that Chris Miller qualified on the pole position, well, that was at Watkins Glen, to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park and came away with a win on that occasion.
Yeah.
He was on pole again yesterday.
So we've crossed by with about 3 and a bit minutes to go.
Yeah,
and
I think we're going to end up in a caution. I mean,
they could throw the white. It depends when they get round. They'll either throw the white or the checker next time around. But I haven't seen a white flag go out here, and we could go back to green for literally a one-lap dash. Shea Adam, your Michelin moment of the race, please, for GS.
If we finish up yellow, Carbon with the great strategy call.
Totally. I think it's got to be the 2 winners this time. They gave it their best. Frankly, even if they don't win it, it's probably still going to be those 2. And
yeah, for sticking with the plan. I mean, like I said,
absolutely,
earlier on, if they come in with half an hour to go, put on fresh tyres, it could have given an opportunity potentially to come through the fields a little bit. But they stuck.
It's going to be a one-lap
strategy.
dash. It is going to be a one-lap dash.
Really?
It is going to be a 1-lap, 3.25 mile dash. The Lexus safety car lights are out. Our nominations then for Michelin moment of the race: Carbon and the 39 leading in GS. They may still win this race. They stuck with their plan. And Unitronic, the 17 in TCR, they may still win this race. They made their plan, and it looked like it was working until this last caution. Now, Jeff Westphal has the very fast Scott Andrews behind him on better tyres, the very fast Robin Liddell behind him, the very fast Luca Mars and Robbie Foley and Joey Hand behind him. We go green. Here comes Scott Andrews. He's not going to wait too long. Here comes Robin Liddell. He's got a good run as well. The white flag and the green flag are waving at the same time. Liddell goes to the outside trying to do the cutback. He'll dash down the inside and gets Scott Andrews. Brilliant racecraft by the Scotsman, and all 3 of them come together. Andrews has gone around. That was the chrome horn put on Scott Andrews by Robin Liddell. 3 into 1, don't go. Now, there's one for race control to look at, as they were all battling there on the last lap of the race. Scott Andrews has ended up off the circuit. Westphal still leads at the moment from Liddell in second. Third is the... Well, actually, that's still... Scott Andrews.
That's the car that's a lap down.
That is a lap down, yeah. Scott Andrews is out of the side of the circuit, so the third place car is a lap down. Once again, that's Daniel Morad just confusing me. Here comes Liddell. He's going for the race win on the road. That's a lovely manoeuvre. Nothing wrong with that one at Oak Tree. Brilliant stuff. A little bit of a grip advantage, maybe. Well, here comes Daniel Morad trying to stay out of the way, I think, of the battle for the lead. And Foley's right there. Lovely driving by Morad. Yeah, totally agree, Jeremy. So Liddell at the moment coming into the...
Is Westphal out of fuel?
Westphal's out of fuel. Westphal's out of fuel. Coming onto the roller coaster for the last time. Liddell's going to win this on the road. This is extraordinary. Liddell is going to win this on the road. And also Stephen McAleer for RS1. That car has stopped out on the circuit as well.
Because in second position.
It is Robbie Foley. That's massive for the championship. Foley is going to close up Rebel Rock win. That would be back-to-back races if that stands up. I haven't seen yet whether that is being looked at. Incident at turn 1, and oh my goodness, our winners in the Michelin moment of the race in GS has not made it to the finish line. They needed that race to stay yellow to the end. The battling meant it did not, but they stuck with their plan. We're still giving it to them. In TCR, Mikey Taylor and the Unitronics win their Michelin moment of the race, and the race from Wickens and Brian Herner Motorsport in second and Mason Filippi in third. Let's hear from Frank Depew down on the pit lane with Shay. Chris Miller, actually.
I'm actually going to run over and grab Chris Miller first, because their pit boxes are side by side. So an exciting moment for both of these teams to celebrate victory in tandem. And for Chris Miller, he knows what it's like to win at this track. He's done it before in a TCR car, but with this new car and with what it means for the championship, that is even more important. Chris, another win on the air after another pole position. Now we know what you have to do to just keep this going, but how great is it to get this one?
Yeah, it was a tough race, and honestly, all credit to the team. We did the right strategy. They got me in under the yellow, and then we had a big lead. Mikey did a great job saving fuel and getting the car to the finish, but yeah, all credit to the team. We had a fast car all weekend. They called the right strategy, and we ran the numbers perfectly, so just thrilled to get the win.
Full-on championship contenders, you thinking ahead?
Yeah, I mean, the Hyundai's had another strong race as well, so we're going to have to beat them the next 2 races to beat them in the championship, but we have a good car, we have the best team, so looking forward to the rest of the season.
Congrats on another win.
Thanks, appreciate it.
And if you'll stick with me, I'm just going to dive right next door to Frank Depew, because I saw him celebrating around here. Where did Frank go? Did he disappear?
Huh?
Did Frank disappear already?
I have no idea where he went.
I think he did. I think he's already gone to the podium. Tell you what, John, I'll shout up when I got Robin. How about that?
Yeah, okay. We might be talking to Turner Motorsport yet, because I'm sure that will be under review. Yes, it is. The pass for the lead, Jeremy, was copybook.
Yep.
But there's no doubt there was contact, and it's up to race control. Clearly, Scott Andrews is not happy with that. And it was more than robust. We all know and love Robin, but maybe he's crossed the line there. Not for us to make that decision. There's hardly any damage on the car, I have to say. But it's when the cars are loaded up, coming through corners. We saw it earlier on with Owen Trinkler, didn't we? And
yeah, and there's one very, very happy Australian coming back towards the pit lane.
Unhappy, yeah.
Yeah, did I say happy? Yeah, sorry. No, he's somebody needs to grab him here, actually. Make sure he doesn't do anything really silly.
Yeah, he's left his helmet on, which
I mean,
normally means you don't want to
he
be
did a
dropped
brilliant race.
Yes, he did.
Scott Andrews there. Absolutely brilliant race. And, I mean, I'll have to see it again, but my gut reaction was he was just pushed off the road there by the Camaro. You hate to see a race finish like that, you really do. And as soon as we heard we were going to go back to the green, yes, I don't like to finish under yellow for sure, but it was a recipe for disaster, wasn't it? And unfortunately, these guys are going to push it to the limit and beyond, in my opinion. But look, it was a tremendously exciting motor race, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And hats off to everybody involved in it, because Carbahn came agonizingly close to getting that win. But if the points stay, if the positions stay as they are right now, by my unofficial reckoning, Kenny Murillo and Christian Shimjak will have 1,970 points.
Agreed.
Behind them, actually, well...
Tied. I reckon it's tied.
Robbie Foley and Vin Barletta will have 1,970 points. They have 2 wins to the 1 of Murillo and Shimjak. Frank Depew and Robin Liddell, with also 2 wins, will be just 80 points back in 3rd position. So super tight.
Massively.
If that changes, then Robbie Foley and Vin Barletta will take the lead in the championship in any case. So they will be the championship leaders come what may, either on a tiebreaker with wins, or if they get 30 more points, Murillo and Shimjak, depending on what the penalty is for number 71 car, if there is indeed a penalty, then they would move into the points with a clear points lead.
I mean, that was a hugely important drive through the field for Joey Hand, with a car that had damage early on as well, let's not forget. TCR, Jeremy?
TCR points there. Harry Gottsacker and Robert Wickens will have a 50-point lead by my reckoning over Chris Miller and Mikey Taylor. And in 3rd position, with a 3rd position finish today, Mason Philippi and Mark Wilkins on 2,300. So just 110 points covering the top 3 in the class. With that DNF, unfortunately, from Roy Block and Tim Lewis Jr., who were 4th in the points, that's going to be very costly for them. But still very much a 3-car battle with 2 more races to go this season.
I'm still waiting for news from race control. Scott Andrews has headed off to the medical centre, I presume. He came back in the front seat of the ambulance. And still waiting, as I say, for some news. We can certainly congratulate the Unitronic guys who are in. Let's see if we can get a word with Robin Liddell and take the Scotsman's take on it. Great drive, certainly, and great tactics once again, Shea Adam.
Well, Robin Liddell, 2 in a row, but this is a lot better when you get to pull into the victory lane. Your take on what happened on that final lap kerfuffle?
It was obviously going to be very tight when you've got a green-white checker. We saved a lot of fuel. Obviously, we needed track position. When I was behind the BMW after I got in the car under green, I knew that we didn't have the outright pace, to be honest with you. I wouldn't have been able to pass a lot of cars under green. So I said to Charlie, we need to go for track position. So we pitted as early as we could and decided to save fuel. And then obviously what we didn't get at Road America, which we did here, was that late yellow. That made us good, and then we could attack on the last lap. We started the restart on reserve, and the car ran absolutely flawlessly. Unfortunately, had some contact with the 27 and on the exit of 1, but you know, it's a carve up. I guess he had the Porsche outside of him and he got pinched. And you know, I touched him and he turned sideways. I lifted, I tried to avoid what happened, to be honest, but in the end I'm fighting for the win. And unfortunately he just got 2 broadside in front of me and he was gone. So I kind of feel sorry for him, but I don't think I could have or would have done anything different. And then obviously I made the pass at Oak Tree on the Porsche, just kind of sold him the dummy. The car was fast, and the handling of the car was fantastic, but we didn't have the straight line with the BMW, I'd say. So I think in the end we ran the absolute best race we could, and to come out of here with a proper earned win like we have is phenomenal. It was strategy and fighting for it.
Congrats, Robin.
Thank you.
And the best news, Frank, you still got another race tomorrow to go out there and win. How much did you learn from today's race?
Quite a bit. I learned that I have limits from a hydration perspective for sure. I actually pulled out of that race 2 laps to go because I didn't feel like I was, I just didn't feel up to it. So I went into infield care. They gave me an IV, took care of me, and hey, I could do that whole stint and I felt good. So anyway, yeah, but it's an amazing, it's so much of this is their pit crews, virtually flawless. On pit stops, and our strategy is about as good as it can be. And so, I mean, I think, this isn't a Robin and Frank thing. This is a team effort. No, unbelievably so. And obviously, Robin's a superstar. So,
Congrats to all of Rebel Rock.
thanks, Shay.
What a comeback from Frank Depew. If he was on an IV earlier on this afternoon, as he's just said there, to be able to come back and even to put himself in that situation. Really good stuff from him. Still nothing from race control, so we will say provisionally at the moment that Rebel Rock Racing and their Camaro have won from Turner Motorsport and Robbie Foley. They will take the lead in the championship on count back, or should there be any changes, of course, and they're promoted, they would go ahead of Christian Shimchak's Murillo racing car, which finished in 9th position. Good fight back. At one stage, that car was 16th in the standings. Mind, having said that, Robin Liddell was 17th as well, wasn't he, when he came out the pits? Well, I remember mentioning that.
Most of the cars were outside the top 20 at some stage during that race. It was also topsy-turvy. But, for Frank Depew there from Richmond, Virginia, a great win in his home state. He'll be thrilled with that. But talking to Robin's point there about didn't have the speed, fastest lap of the race was set by Scott Andrews at a 1:53.8. Next fastest lap in this race was Robin Liddell, 54.1. He was 3/10 quicker than the next guy in this race. So the car certainly had the pace, but he didn't have the pace of Scott Andrews, who was on a mission this weekend, and just drove. Point made.
I mean, look, everybody's been involved in incidents. I think Scott Andrews was into the back of Simchak on the last lap at Sebring. They happened, and we're still waiting for official confirmation. Maybe Shea can have a word with somebody, but I've not seen anything on the channel at the moment that will turn over. No further action. Just had that through. No further action. Therefore, it will be a confirmed earned win for Rebel Rock Racing. They are in 3rd position in the championship with Robbie Foley's 96 drive at the end there, taking him to tie with the 72 AMG. And therefore they'll go ahead on wins on countback. Well, interesting end to the race. And what a day we have had. There is more racing tomorrow. Shea Adam down in the pit lane. Final thought from you. That one had us biting our nails right to the end.
Or just being in the fire suit all day, or the end of that race. That was very fun and exciting. And tomorrow has a lot to live up to.
Certainly has. Thank you, Shea. We'll let you go and chill out in every sense of the word. The formalities are about to begin. Jeremy, thank you very much indeed. Untidy race at the beginning, great racing in the middle, back to untidy at the end today. But we've got a 2 hour and 40-minute WeatherTech race to go tomorrow, and I expect it to be just as fraught.
Can't wait. I mean, that was a tremendous race today, really exciting. Yeah, I think you're right. More to come tomorrow. Every Michelin Pilot Challenge race this season, apart from the one at the beginning of the season, was a bit messy, but mainly they've been fantastic. And this one absolutely lived up to expectations.
Thank you to our technical team, particularly Rob Lomas, who's done the long shift today in London, and of course all of our camera operators on site and the whole team up at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Thank you very much for being with us. Have a safe journey home if you're leaving us here at the circuit. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Sound, vision, action, incident, controversy. Yeah, I think we'll probably tick all those boxes again. For Jeremy Shaw and Shea Adam, I'm John Hindhaugh. Good night and God bless from Virginia International Raceway, and a super Saturday.